Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rslash Tales from Retail. In today's episode, please remember the elderly in your life. Kid, stop licking the cake. Is the real brand, not a fake one? Right. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Please remember the elderly in your life. I work retail at a large store, and for some elderly people, I might be the only human interaction they have in their day. I spent 15 minutes helping one older woman who told me that I was the first person she had talked to in weeks. She had been abandoned by family members, and it seemed as though there were mental health problems, possibly on both sides. All I know is that this was someone who had very little support in her life, even emotional support. I was able to let her know about some support groups for her in the area, but that was all I could do besides listen. I'm not saying that you need to stay in a relationship with someone if it's unhealthy for you, but whenever possible, please at least make whatever effort possible to encourage them into healthy/stable situations. It breaks my heart sometimes. Spend about 30 minutes setting up a prepaid phone for a little old lady. Activation, screen protector, phone case, all of it. She was nearly in tears and insisted on giving me a hug. Definitely the highlight of my day. Insisted on giving me a hug. Then she pickpocketed you of your security keys for the phone store. Returned that night and stole everything. I worked telcos for years, and setting up phones for the oldies was my favorite part. I'd sit down with them for a solid half hour and run through how to use the basic functions, phone dialer, camera, texts, and put shortcuts for favorite contacts on their home screen. I hated the pushy sales and warranties KPI part of the job, so thankfully I became the go-to for tech support and troubleshooting. So it wasn't unusual for me to spend half an hour per customer. I've been trying to get my elderly mother to socialize more, because she's turning into one of those people. She's been refusing to go along with it. Thinks she can keep guilting me with the "oh, nobody else will talk to me." Unfortunately, she's also an abysmal B*TCH to me, so I've been steadily working towards no contact. Some people enjoy wallowing in misery more than working towards happiness. Thank you for being nice to a little old lady. Regardless of how she treats her family, nobody deserves to be alone. Maybe she's difficult to have a long-term personal friendship with, but if she can manage a conversation with a stranger politely, I'm glad she got a good one who engaged her for a few minutes. My grandma is at that phase. Nothing makes her happy anymore. Many years ago, I worked front counter in a neighborhood pharmacy, selling papers, cigarettes, candy, and the like. One of the pharmacists told me that for some of the older customers, it was their only social interaction of the day. When I heard that, I said to myself, that interaction is going to be a good one then. You may never realize how important you are to another person. I have always worked with the public and try to be extra friendly, and give a little more time to those who seem like they may be a little lonely or struggling in some way. It always made me feel so guilty if it was too busy to let them go on with me. But yeah, if I can brighten someone's day, even if only momentarily, then I've had a successful day. I wear a lot of classic wrestling and band t-shirts under my vest at work. All but one interaction I've ever had about them has been older people, half of which are probably old enough to be my grandparent. Needless to say, I wear those whenever I can. They're easily the happiest looking customers I ever get. I see older folks come into the doctor's office. No clue what meds they're on, why they take them, and how to take them. Very few times does someone come with the older person, and even then often the keeper is an ungrateful bitch about the person they're keeping. Complaints that they have a hair/nail appointment soon and how long is this going to take? It's even worse when those same a-hole keepers also work in healthcare. Like WTF. Often the person being kept is usually the sweetest person too. Sorry, a bit of ranting, but this peeves me. I'm a phlebotomist, and the caretakers who, supposedly, our healthcare workers who don't know how to do even the simple task of dropping off a sample irritate the hell out of me. You are a good person. I think when people are younger they can't comprehend that many of the elderly end up like this, not by their own fault, but merely by circumstance. Thank you for being kind to people who are in great need of kindness. I think when people are older, no one wants to consider that it's not always bad luck or having ungrateful children. There are a lot of terrible parents out there, and a lot of them do live long enough to get old. I've been a guest services agent in hotels for years, and the number of very elderly people traveling who have obvious signs of dementia always worries me. Some clearly shouldn't be alone. I always want to call their families. Same here. I recently had an elderly woman who could handle the mechanisms of shopping, but not any hiccup. In this case, her credit card wouldn't go through. Card was probably maxed out. She had done a return, so we finally convinced her to come back in 2 days and she could buy the items. She remembered to come back, but thought she was coming back to get the receipt for the things she didn't purchase. We finally got it straightened out, but I desperately wanted to ask her for a family member's phone number so I could give them a call. This happens a lot at the grocery store, at least in my area. We get some regulars who shop almost every single day and stop by the departments seemingly just to say hello. They also seem to come in when they're not feeling well, almost like they sense that they shouldn't be alone. The number of elderly I've seen on the floor, wheeled out via emergency services. I helped an older couple on the phone with my work's awful online system, spoke to them for 45 straight minutes walking them through each individual step. My boss wasn't happy, but they sure were. I don't think they'd been out of the house in a long time, so I was happy to be their contact with the outside world that day. In my store we get tons of older ladies. It's pretty much the best part of the day, helping the nice and fun ones. Making jokes. Telling stories. Makes the days better. Kid. Stop licking the cake. You've all had to deal with similar, I'm sure. The mom is staring at her phone while her kid is pulling expensive stuff off shelves, licking frosting off of our cake on display. I'm watching to see what she's going to do. She doesn't look up until I loudly say, "Oh, hey little dude. You can't touch the cakes." Mom looks up from her phone to glare at me as the kid drops a huge glass cake platter, and it shatters all over the floor. She looks at the broken platter and just walks out. She walked out of the store and left the kiddo there on his knees, trying to brush the glass shards under a cabinet. I'm galloping over with a broom trying to stop him before he nicks an artery or something. Here's the weirdest part. Mom walks back in, feigns surprise at her kid standing in the middle of all the shattered glass and says, "Oh, that was broken when we came in." When I tell her she'll need to pay for the cake he licked and the broken platter, she grabs him and walks out. At least he didn't get cut. I just can't get over the fact that she walked out and left him there with the glass, so she could pretend it wasn't her fault. Was this incident caught on the security cameras? Because if so, you should report them to Child Protective Services and give them the footage. How? Just handing over CCTV footage won't do much good, you'd need a name and address too. Which I'm pretty sure OP doesn't have. Not much you can do without any information about them, LMAO. Is this the real brand, not a fake one? Right. We have a customer that stops in the store at least once a month. She is older, and grew up in a East European country, and therefore has a deep, hard-to-understand accent. The store where I work is a growing bargain store with over 400 stores now where we wear red polo shirts and either black pants or jeans. The first time I met this woman, we had just had a big Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo and soap buyout. She asks me where it is, so I walk there and she proceeded to ask not once but 5 to 10 times in a row, "Are you sure this is the real Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo? That is the only one I use on my hair, are you sure?" I respond with, "Yes, I am sure that the bottles of shampoo labeled Johnson's baby shampoo is the name brand, real Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo." She finally let me get back to work and our main cashier for the night went home, so I became the main cashier at the register. She comes up, unloads her cart and asks another few times, "This isn't a fake, right? This is the real Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo because that is the only one I use." Another few times she finally decides to let me ring her out and she leaves for the day. However, she comes in the evening at least once a month and does this to whichever cashier is on register at the time. The last time I saw her was last Sunday, where she had asked only about 3 times this time, and yes, I am sure we are not selling a knockoff brand in the name brand bottles, as that is illegal. Illegal in your country, likely in hers, but in hers, the officials could be bribed to look the other way easier. Which wouldn't be such a surprise to workers as it would be for you. I understand what you are saying, as I can hear Eastern European in her accent, and there have been a lot of issues in some of those countries. For reference, I live in one of the first 13 states of the United States of America, and grew up for part of my life in Israel, so yes, I have been lucky enough not to deal with that level of corruption, and she may have my issue as be asked would feel like a million times a visit if the product she is buy is the same as last few times, as it has been about a year now that she has been asking this many times, to the point I dread see her, knowing she will hold up lines and try to trip up our words. More so around the holiday with backed up lines. I find that my life in retail is calmer and, really, more fun when I don't try to figure out why customers do what they do. It's kind of a zen level of just accepting what is. Until someone seems to be unsafe or something. Detachment is a good thing, or is at least good for my blood pressure. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.